I'm Najma Ismail and this is KTN Newsdesk. Welcome to the program now. Members of Parliament have approved 50.4 billion shillings under the supplementary budget to fund various institutions. The legislators debated and approved the monies in just an hour. The biggest beneficiary of the supplementary budget is the Ministry of Interior, which has been awarded 9 billion shillings. The military has been awarded 5.5 billion shillings. The MPs also gave a boost to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission by awarding the Commission 3.1 billion shillings in a supplementary budget. Huduma centers will get an extra 1.8 billion shillings to fund activities. The MPs have also set aside 1.3 billion shillings to be used for emergencies, while the teachers' employer TSC has been awarded 697 million shillings in extra funding. The legislators also gave the Kenya Seed Company 400 million shillings to be used as seed subsidies to maize farmers. Moving on, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology is appealing a High Court decision to scrap off the membership of the board of the Communications Authority of Kenya. This follows the High Court's ruling by Judge George Odunga that the board members were not elected according to the Kenya Information Communication Amendment Act. Addressing the press today, ICT Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i said the act was enacted after wide consultations.
That board was not formed by the minister. The board was done by a selection panel chaired by the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. The government was an insignificant member. We had only one representative in that board. The whole lot of the COFEC, Law Society of Kenya, Kenya National Union of Teachers, and all that. The minister is a conveyor belt. You are given the names because the interview process and everything is managed by the selection panel.
Now, at least 3 people died in Kayole Estate last night after the heavy downpour that was witnessed in Nairobi last night. The man, woman and child reportedly drowned as they tried to cross a river that had burst its banks. The woman is said to have died while trying to save her son, who had fallen into the river. Area residents say the deceased man had come from a drinking den nearby. The downpour wreaked havoc in most parts of Nairobi, with motorists being stuck in traffic for hours on end, caused by flooded roads. Kayole residents now say the river is becoming a hazard whenever it rains in the capital city.
Saida kamuto kamejaa kanakuwa kabaya sana, na watu wengine wale wanacheka wanasema ni drainage, lakini hawajafahamu ni mto. Kama mvua ya jana imekuwa kubwa, imetuzubua hata wale watu wako hapa karibu, wengine wamelala nje, wengine wakaenda kuomba mahali ya kulala sababu maji ilikuwa nyingi.
Alafu sasa hiyo mvua, mwenye anaona mvua imenyesha asitoke mahali yako. Mtu tu asimame hapo mpaka hiyo mvua iishe. Ikishaisha ndio mtu aende kwake. Jua hakuna haja utoke kwa kazi na haraka tu unaogopa mvua, mali unakuja ati ndio utasaidikia huko ndio unakufia.
Still on floods now, Mombasa County government and other well-wishers have stepped up provision of humanitarian aid to flash floods victims in various parts of the county. Now, a county official visited the victims in Likoni bearing donations of assorted foodstuffs, mattresses and blankets following heavy rains that have pounded the region for the last 4 days. Now, so far, 2 lives have been lost and many people are displaced. Areas mostly affected include Kalahari, Mburukenge, Kisauni, Changamwe, Bombolulu, Likoni and Bomu.
We've been here for the last 48 hours and above. And since the first day, this place has been full of water. There was a great lake here. All the houses, over 21 houses, were full of water, all the way to Westland. Most of the properties of these people were destroyed. There are no beddings, there are no beds, there are no common utensils that you use in the house. All of them were destroyed.
Nashukuru kwa kunipejiki mattress nitapata pale pa kulalia. Na hayo mabrangeti huko kula pia twashukuru, na huko kula pia kuendelea kuzidi kupewa.
Now, the spotlight is yet again on Deputy President William Ruto over allegations of land grabbing of the now infamous Langata playground. In a live interview on Citizen TV, Ruto admitted to having interest at the controversial Weston Hotel, whose owners were accused of grabbing the school playground. The DP, however, said that he has not grabbed any public land.
Owns the land of Langata Road. He has not denied ownership. The owner of Langata Road Primary School, who is laying claim to Langata Road Primary School, is in court. He is not a ghost. He is not a foreigner. He is a Kenyan. He is in court. He is the owner of Airport View Limited, which owns a whole estate in Wilson Airport. It's not something that you can apply guesswork. How does a Kenyan who is in court and he says, I am so and so, how does that become William Ruto?
It was actually blamed on Weston Hotel, which some have said actually belongs to you.
I have interest in Weston Hotel.
You have interest in Weston Hotel?
Weston Hotel is completely different from Langata Road Primary School. Each one has its own title. The title for Langata Road Primary School is in court. The owner of Langata Road Primary School is in court, still claiming ownership of the school.
Now, during that hour-long interview, Ruto also defended himself over allegations of corruption leveled against him. He attributed the constant finger-pointing to his political rivals, whom he claims are only jealous of his political success so far. Moving on to Baragoi now, tension is high in the town after 3 men were killed and another one seriously injured by unidentified attackers. Among the deceased is a school watchman who was shot dead at 5:30 p.m. at the gate of Baragoi Boys High School as he prepared to go home. The motive of the attack is yet to be established. Now, there is a capacity of 10,000 enrollments in various polytechnics in Nyeri County. Yet only 3,000 youth have enrolled. This is a major source of concern for education stakeholders in the county, particularly as alcoholism and insecurity have taken root. This is according to Nyeri's Executive Secretary in charge of Education, ICT, Youth Affairs and Sports, Elijah Nguyo. He says despite the high literacy levels in Nyeri, many youth opt to go into agriculture and business.
We like to urge our citizens to take the education very seriously, and also skills training that we offer in the youth polytechnics, because skills training has been actually high-rated in the Vision 2030, the medium-term development plan for the 20 Vision 30, that is 2013 to 2017, has particularly underlined the importance of youth polytechnics in developing artisans and technicians for the construction industry. And you know, the construction industry in this country is really growing, and therefore those skills are needed, and we are developing them in the youth polytechnics.
Retired President Moi Kibaki's family is in mourning following the death of his elder brother Bernard Nerutu Kibaki. Nerutu passed on at 87 years after a battle with pneumonia. He had previously been diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2003 and the disease had gone into remission. Family and friends gathered at his home in Gatuyani village. His widow Martha Njeri, who was with him when he died, said that the late Nerutu woke up complaining of feeling cold and later collapsed. His family described Nerutu Kibaki as disciplined, hardworking. Nerutu was a tea farmer. The National Civil Society Congress is asking the government to improve its working relations with non-governmental organizations in the fight against terror. Speaking during a press briefing in Nairobi, NCSC President Maurice Odhiambo alleged that two organizations, Muhuri and Haki Africa, are victims of a witch hunt by an official at the NGO coordination body. Odhiambo says that the government should instead work with the two organizations in the radicalization process.
In the last few weeks, there has been a huge hullabaloo about two organizations at the coast. This Muhuri, that is Muslims for Human Rights, and Haki Africa, the two organizations that have so far, I think the last action is that they were deregistered by the NGO Coordination Board. We have a different perspective to this whole issue, and we have not spoken about it because we have been waiting to see the kind of evidence that is emerging from the government. Unfortunately, we are all disappointed because whereas we really thought that in a few days after they were declared supporters of terror, we would see real evidence coming out to say this is what they have been doing. A lot of the issues that have been raised are actually procedural issues about registration, about whether you are a program based on a different organization or not.
We must not dichotomize between religion and human rights, because some people suffer injustice and alienation and marginalization because of their religion.
True.
And therefore, if people are going to fight for human rights as that religion that is marginalized, so be it. If Christians were to be the minority in this country and they were marginalized, I would maybe have got a Christian human rights organization.
True.
But now I don't need it because I am not marginalized. I am likely to the marginalizer. And I'm the perpetrator of marginalization.
The National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, has launched the Environment Institute of Kenya, a body consisting of environment experts who will assist the authority in conducting environmental impact assessment. The new institute already has 1,400 registered members. NEMA says it will go a long way in dealing with quacks who masquerade as NEMA officials.
NEMA will not be interested in engaging registered experts who are not members of a recognized environmental professional body. And I want to say this because I've been receiving letters and sort of threats on legal provisions. We have a legal department in NEMA, and therefore we are ready to engage.
Time now for a short break, but don't go too far. I will be back with more news. Welcome back. Now, before we go to the business area now, massacred in their thousands for their ivory, Africa's elephants are flocking to Botswana, where ecotourism and a zero-tolerance approach to poaching have created a sanctuary. Here's more on this story.
The Chobe River is a piece of elephant paradise. Massacred in their tens of thousands for their ivory tusks, the continent has fewer than 470,000 left. But here in Botswana, with its unfenced parks and wide open spaces, about a third of Africa's wild pachyderms have found their sanctuary.
These animals are highly intelligent. When they're being disturbed in another area, they will move to where they know they're going to be safe. And in the case of Botswana, a lot of our elephants are essentially political refugees, fleeing persecution in neighboring countries.
The secret to this success is sheer political will. Slightly bigger than France and with a population of just 2 million, Botswana enjoys immense expanses of wild terrain, from the Kalahari Desert to the Okavango Delta. And the government has prioritized quality ecotourism as a sustainable source of income, even more so than its diamonds.
Botswana's lucky because it's got such a great landmass of national park. In South Africa, for example, they're so small and privatized and so commercial that you're never alone. So you've always got a lot of other tourists around. Whereas Botswana, you can be in Moremi and not see another car for the whole day.
Botswana's got a bit of a more higher income, lower volume policy, which we really like. We rather prefer working with quality products. And then I won't say it's your upmarket guest. I just think it's your guest that really wants to come here.
Last year, the government banned commercial hunting and has adopted a zero-tolerance approach to dealing with the ongoing poaching that has plagued so much of southern Africa.
If you come into this country with a weapon to shoot one of our resources, if you are going to leave and think you'd leave with your life, you're going to be disappointed. And I'm not going to apologize for that. It is the way it is.
Man and beast coexisting side by side doesn't always work. For some villages, elephants can be a crop-destroying menace. But by redistributing the wealth from state-sponsored tourism projects, like this park and cultural centre in the northern town of Kasane, Botswana hopes to protect its natural heritage.
To business now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has pointed a finger at Patrick Ngugi Njoroge's name as the next governor of the Central Bank of Kenya. Now, the CBK governor position was re-advertised after what was described as failure to find suitable candidates from 42 applications presented to the Public Service Commission. Patrick Ngugi's name and 3 others will now be presented to the National Assembly for vetting. KTN's Joy Doreen Bira reports.
After President Uhuru Kenyatta's nomination of candidates, among them Patrick Ngugi Njoroge as CBK next governor, Harun Sirima and Sheila Mbijiwe as deputy governors, and Mohamed Nyaoga as chair of CBK, the mentioned candidates now await approval by the National Assembly. The nominations come after the retirement of Governor Njuguna Ndung'u's term this year. If approved by Parliament, Patrick Ngugi Njoroge will take over from Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, who has been at the helm of the country's top financial power for 8 years of 2 terms each. On May 3rd, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u retired as Central Bank Governor, but before leaving the CBK, the professor is said to have changed the financial landscape from one that was shrouded in mystery to one that is the key driver of innovation and progress.
Our banks are now leveraging on the existing infrastructure, supermarkets, petrol stations, pharmacies, the agents for the mobile network operators, and recruiting them to become their agents. And therefore, through their network, they are able to channel their services down to the consumer. And that has contributed significantly to the banks being able to get their services out to the consumer.
Today, up to 78 to 80%, if you look at the last FST report, of Kenyans have accessed financial services, of which 40% is from banks and the other balance is from the mobile companies. We want to achieve a 90% financial inclusion as an industry and as a country.
Patrick Ngugi Njoroge is currently an IMF advisor, while Harun Sirima is the current deputy governor, and Sheila Mbijiwe is a banker and former member of Monetary Policy Committee. Expectations are high now that the biggest challenge that awaits the new leadership is the weakened shilling as the US dollar continues to gain ground world over. Joy Doreen Bira, KTN.
Now, a game of political football became a friendly in every sense of the word as the New York Cosmos defeated Cuba in an exhibition match that underscored warming up ties between the United States and its bitter Cold War foe. The first appearance of Cuban soil of a professional U.S. sports team in 16 years turned out to be a one-sided encounter. Well, that's all we have for you today on Newsdesk. My name is Najma Ismail.